Hello, and welcome to the Art of Selling online courses. We are here to share winning strategies and secret hacks from top performers in the online course industry. My name is John Ainsworth, and today's guest is Alinka Rutkowska. Alinka is the CEO of Leaders Press, a USA Today and Wall Street Journal best-selling press, where she creates books for entrepreneurs from scratch and launches them to bestseller with a 100% success rate. She's got this hybrid publishing house. It's got traditional distribution. It's enabled 500 entrepreneurs to share their stories with the world. 91 of those authors have become USA Today and Wall Street Journal best-selling authors. She's been featured by Forbes, Entrepreneur Magazine, Entrepreneurs on Fire, numerous other outlets, and her mission is to help 10,000 entrepreneurs share their wisdom with the world by 2030. Today, we're going to be talking about why to write a book, how to do it, how to promote it, and a lot more. Now, before we start learning from Alinka, I want to mention our sponsor. Today's sponsor is my company, Data Driven Marketing. What we do is we help online course creators to somewhere between 2 to 5 times their revenue by building a badass funnel. So if you're interested in that and you want to know how much more you could be making with the existing audience and existing courses you've got, go to datadrivenmarketing.co/calculator and we'll figure it out for you and we'll send you an email with the details. So Alinka, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, John.
This is awesome. So let's start out right at the top. Why would somebody want to create a book? If they're a course creator already, why would they want to get started and make a book?
Well, if you're a course creator, you probably want to increase the number of people that will consume your course. So there's a way that you might not have thought of yet, an untapped market, so to speak, for you. And that's readers of books and potentially listeners of audiobooks. So if you think about your content and what the course does for your client, you could take that value proposition and create a book that basically explains what your course does, not exactly in the same way, but you would want the book to be sort of the prequel that would lead to the course. And you'll just be able to reach out to so many more people because Amazon is becoming a search engine, pretty much like Google, only with people who actually have credit cards at their disposal hooked up. All they need to do is click once to get the book. And they have this instant gratification, so they can consume it really quickly right away. And it's a great opportunity to provide links to your landing pages or directly to your course and to get people into that funnel where then they can do more stuff with you.
Nice. All right. Well, that sounds good. So let's say someone's listening to this and they're like, that sounds awesome. I want to create a book, but it sounds like a lot of work. That sounds like it's going to take ages. What can people do to write that book without having to completely start again from scratch?
Right. Well, if you already have a course, you probably have that course organized in a way with modules and lessons, that could become your outline. I mean, it doesn't have to be exactly word for word, but that could be the idea of your outline. And you're not starting from scratch because you've already conveyed all that knowledge that you have in your brain to the audience that's listening to the course. So it's probably written somewhere, or maybe you can get it transcribed if there are videos, and it's pretty easy to go to rev.com or wherever and get that transcribed. So you're already working from transcripts, and you can pretty easily do that. I mean, a book is more, usually there's more packed in a book. It's just the density of it. It's the most dense medium, so to speak. So you already have an outline if you have a course, and you might want to change it up a little bit. It's possible that the course you created a year ago, you might have some new information. Some things might have changed, and you can convey that in the book. So that's a really good way to do it and a really good reason to release the book. And another reason to do it is the authority that it brings. So, you've created a course, but there's probably another person who created a similar course, right? You probably know them. So how do you stand out? Like if your potential client is looking at you and your, let's call them competitor, Why would they get your course? Like, if all things were equal, what if you were a best-selling author? And as the best-selling author, you're recommending your course and your competitor is not an author. So that's a reason, which is maybe not exactly fair, so to speak, because the wisdom that you have right now is going to be almost the same as the wisdom you have once you've done your book, but the perception that people have when they hear author or best-selling author changes. So when you're the best-selling author of your book, then people will be impressed a little bit more when they find out about your course. And it's also easier to convert them because not only do you have this authority around you, you also have people's trust if they read your book and liked what they saw. And so you can easier convert them and get them to consume your course. So you can do it just by repurposing the content. Or, there are professionals like Leaders Press, which is the company, the publishing house I run, where we can help you do this. But either way, however you do it, it would be a wonderful lead generator for you. And I can talk about books as lead generators because we use them all the time.
All right. So if someone's thinking about this and they're like, that sounds great. I want to build authority and I want to drive leads and this sounds good. And I've already got a course and I can get it transcribed. That's cool. What do you find in terms of like, do you have a recommended word count for a book? Because I tell you what, I read a bunch of business books and I think they have got too many words in here. This actually, I know you were saying about being dense, but some books I'm just like, oh, come on, get to the point a little bit. And I kind of wish they were shorter. But I wonder sometimes if it needs to be a certain length to be considered a proper book. What's your thoughts about length of the book?
Sure. I can say it depends. I remember at university, the professor would say it depends. And everybody was like, no, come on, not another one of those, answers. I can give you an answer. I can give you numbers. I'll give you some ranges now. And you're going to have a really clear vision in a couple of minutes. So a standard, let's call it a standard nonfiction book. What we think of as a standard book is 40 to 50,000 words. I'll give you some examples. So 40 to 50,000 word book. We have a short lead gen book that's called Outsource Your Book. And it's 30,000 words. This is the shortest that you can consider a book to be a standard length book. Okay. So it's a regular length, but on the short side, 30,000 words, about 150 pages. Of the smaller size, 5 by 8 inches. So that's a standard industry size, the smaller size. Then on the larger spectrum here is we have a book called Design to Win that we did for DHL's 50th anniversary. And that's an 80,000 word book, so almost triple the size. And it's about 200, almost 250 pages, I think, of 6 by 9 format. So those are industry standard. Now, we've developed short books. So short books that are about 5,000 words or so. So basically, we do these based on one interview. So we're, the big books that we do, we interview the author is like 12 to 15 interviews. The short book, it's one hour interview, and we put that book together. Its only purpose is lead generation. So what we do with it is we really work in a very deliberate manner to make it pop in the searches on Amazon. So it's super optimized for online sales because its main job is to send the author leads. And we've now just recently launched one for Leaders Press. One of our chief business officer is the author of this book. It's called Lead and Grow Rich, and it's super short. Yeah, thank you. Super short, really quick. And then the call to action is to go to our website and basically get into our funnel. But it appeals. So, how, you're asking, I have a course, and how do I make my book be part of the funnel? So, it can be subtle, like lead and grow rich. Our audience is leaders, industry leaders, entrepreneurs. So lead and grow rich will appeal to our audience. It's a short book, and basically the conclusion is you're a leader, you want to lead. In order to do that, you need to have a following. In order to have a following, a book is something that would really help you because of the authority that we mentioned before, and because it will get you subscribers. And so we say, get that book done. And in order to do that, we can help you. So go to this link. So it can be done really, really easily. It just needs to appeal to your target audience, and it doesn't have to be long at all. In fact, as you said, John, sometimes books are too dense and too big, and you would really want, just the golden nuggets. I think that many readers will appreciate that. Give them just the golden nuggets in a short format and tell them to go and get more when they go to this link, and they can, sample your course, and then you upsell them to your course.
Cool. Okay, so let's say someone has done this, right? They've taken their course, they've turned it into a book, whether it's 5,000 words or 30,000, whichever one it is. How do they get it out there? And is that the place to start thinking about it? Or do you need to start thinking about how to get it out there before you write the book? Like, how does that work?
Right. This is a great question. Well, when we work with authors, we like to think about the marketing first.
Okay. Yeah.
Because, it all depends on your goals. The short books that we do, they are meant for online distribution only. And then we have a program for the regular sized books, which we distribute through our distribution partner, Simon & Schuster. So these go into bookstores. It takes longer because this is part of a traditional distribution channel. So there is some lead time. So you have to wait. But if you're going to do a lead gen book, that's really, really easy. There are 3 ways to publish a book. I'll give you the 3 main ways and a couple of pros and cons. We actually have a great article on our blog, leaderspress.com/blog, where you can find out in depth how to do this, but I'll give you the helicopter view. So the first and traditional way to publish books is traditional publishing. So that means you pitch your book idea to agents, and then one of those agents would take care of you and then try to sell it to a publisher. And there are 2 pros. One is that you get an advance, usually. This advance can be between, let's say, a couple $1,000s for a new author, up to, all the way to maybe 6 figures. But, those are 1 in a million, I would say that,
okay.
The advances like that, you hear about them. When you hear, they make the news when people get advances like that. And so the advance is a pro. The second pro is the distribution. So you get the traditional distribution, meaning you're in bookstores, airports, libraries. So that's a big deal. And then the cons are it's super long. Okay, so from the moment that an agent actually accepts you, you're looking at 2.5 years before your book comes out. So if you're writing about a timely topic, imagine you're writing about a timely topic, current events. In 2.5 years, that will be, recent history. It's not going to be current events anymore. And you don't have too much creative control. Like, you really are giving up that. You might have to rewrite entire chapters. You won't probably have any control over the book cover. And the royalties you're getting are really low. So it's a very low percentage of royalties. That's more or less traditional publishing. Then self-publishing appeared. And what it did, it completely got rid of all the gatekeepers. So you don't need an agent anymore. You don't need a publisher. You don't need anybody. You can just go to kdp.com and publish your book. Now, it doesn't mean anybody will find it on Amazon or anybody will buy it, because, you're basically becoming a publisher now. So if you don't know how to, write a book well, get it edited, formatted, create a good cover, optimize it for online sales, how to launch it. Like, these are, entire careers have been devoted in order to perfect this publishing process. So you can do it, but you need a lot of knowledge in order to do it. So the pros are, well, first, the first pro, an amazing I think mental freedom is that you can do. You can publish a book.
Mm.
You keep all the royalties because they all come directly to you, and you have absolute control. The cons are, well, the distribution. So it's only online. You're not really able to get into any traditional bookstores. You might be able to get into independent stores just by reaching out to them one by one, but you're not getting distribution. That's the main con. You're not getting any advances either. But people don't usually look at that. They're not very high anyway in the overall calculation. The main con is the distribution, and then there are hybrid publishing houses. That's pretty new, the marketplace. And Leaders Press, we are a hybrid publishing house. So hybrid can mean different things to different people. To us, to me, hybrid means that you get the best of both worlds, meaning that you get the creative control. So we won't let you create a disaster cover, but you do have control. So we'll say, look at these best-selling covers. Which ones do you like? And we're going to create something based on the author's preferences. We won't allow, since we're also putting our name on the book, we won't allow for a terrible cover. Whereas, when you're publishing yourself, you can totally publish a disaster cover, have no idea that it's terrible, and then wonder why your book is not selling. But there's creative control, but with professional assistance. And then the biggest thing that I would say in a hybrid publisher is that you get distribution, the traditional distribution. So we do partner with Simon & Schuster for the distribution part, and you're able to get into bookstores. So that's a big deal. The cons are, this is a service that we are offering. So there is an upfront investment on the author's part. But since we work with entrepreneurial folks, we make sure that we have a funnel set up in order to get the author the ROI as soon as possible. So in every book that we have, we make sure we send the reader to the landing page of the author to get another maybe PDF or short course or whatever, so that then the author can continue the conversation and upsell or convert the reader to a client.
Got it. So you mentioned about one of the benefits being to get it into a bookstore. Who does that matter for? Does that matter for everybody, or is it just certain people where that matters?
It doesn't matter for everybody, I don't think. So you need to think about your target audience. Where do they hang out? If you're marketing exclusively to, let's say, digital marketers, then it's possible that bookstores are not really important to you. Is there a market that you would reach only if you were available in bookstores? So think about the, maybe busy entrepreneurs who are at the airport, waiting for their flight, going through a bookstore, and they, something catches their eye. They get that book and read it on the flight, and they like it so much that then want to hire you and do business with you. Is that an opportunity? Because if it is, then depending on what you sell, even one such purchase can basically pay for the whole book creation process. So you want to consider that for sure. Then there's their personal dreams, like people that have always wanted to have a book on the bookshelf. You want to go to the bookstore, take a selfie, or you do a book signing, like a regular book signing. Have a line of readers waiting to get their book signed and take pictures of that. But that's a little bit of an ego or vanity thing. Nothing wrong with that. I like showing off my accolades as well. But it's mostly the business part, because somebody might come to the store and that's the only way they would have seen the book. A similar example, I'll give you why even have the book. We do a lot of outreach in order to find our clients. And a lot of it is also direct on LinkedIn, but you won't be able to reach out to everybody because there are some individuals that have a lot of gatekeepers around them. And the only way to reach them is for them to find you. An example of that is the co-founder of DHL. We would not be able to reach out to the DHL co-founder directly because there's just so many gatekeepers. He doesn't He has a guardian of his inbox. Just impossible to exchange, any message, the email that you will find somewhere online. He does not deal with that. He has an assistant who deals with that. But at a certain point, a couple of years ago, I saw on my Calendly a name that I didn't recognize, and the email had DHL in it. And then I looked it up, and it was the co-founder. And I was like, wow, how does that happen? Well, what he was looking for is for somebody to help him write his book. And he found on Amazon, outsource your book. He went through it. He went through the funnel and ended up on my calendar. So this is, pretty amazing. And this can happen both online and offline. Another possibility could have been him or another CEO or founder of a big time company be browsing in a bookstore and find your book and then continue the conversation. So it's a phenomenal way to bring in clients. And then when they come in, when you talk to them, you come with a lot of authority. So they treat you much better than they would have if they hadn't read your book.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. So talk to me then about best-selling status, because we mentioned in the introduction that you've got 91 authors who've become USA Today and Wall Street Journal best-selling authors.
Yeah, it's 172 now.
oh, we're well out of date then, aren't we? Okay, right. But you've got a lot more people that you've worked with who, I think, as I understand it, they've become like an Amazon bestseller or something like that. Is that right? Like, what's the distinction?
We do both. Yeah.
Yeah. So how far does being an Amazon bestseller get you? And how far does, when is it like, oh, no, you really need the Wall Street Journal side of things?
Right. It also depends on your goals. If you just want a book for lead generation purposes, you don't need to have a best-selling author status at all. However, it helps with conversion. So if you're able to put on your book cover, Amazon bestselling author, or even better, Wall Street Journal or USA Today bestselling author, the more readers will press on the buy button and want to read your book because, they don't want to waste their time on a bad book. And if you put that bestseller status there, I know it doesn't say, best written book. Okay, it's a bestseller book, but still in the reader's head, this means something. So you will actually get more books out there when you have that status. Now, do you want Amazon or do you want Wall Street Journal or USA Today? I think if your pure purpose is lead generation, I don't think you need to get so concerned about having USA Today or Wall Street Journal bestseller status, even though it will slightly increase conversions. But if you're a speaker or keynote speaker, you want to go to conferences, do more podcasting, then when you come in as a USA Today bestselling author, this is exciting for the host. And then you can tell me, John, if it is. It's exciting for the host. It's exciting for the attendees because of the authority that it comes with. And it comes with so much authority because it's difficult to achieve. So in order to become an Amazon bestselling author, all you need to do is hit one of the tens of thousands of categories in 1 hour. So there are tens of thousands of categories on Amazon, and the ranks change every hour. So there's a lot of opportunity to do that. It's not very complicated. There is some know-how. You need to know how to set things up. You need to get some sales, but it's not crazy difficult. However, USA Today, that's a list of 150, okay? Not tens of thousands, 150 slots, and they don't update, they don't change every hour. It's once a week. So once a week, there are 150 slots, and you need to sell about, say, 6,000 copies in that week. It's a pretty major endeavor, and you might have sold thousands of copies already if you're listening to this, but you need to do it in 1 week. So it's a pretty condensed period of time. And there are authors who've sold hundreds of thousands of books, but have never been able to do 6,000 in 1 week because it's such a short period of time. It's a big effort to get on the USA Today bestseller list. You need to know what the requirements are. So I'm explaining that a little bit. But it's also important to understand that there are millions of books every week competing for those slots. It's not millions that are actually competing. It's thousands that are actually competing in terms of they're doing something marketing wise to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But still, it's 150 slots, and there are just so many failed attempts. So it's difficult to do, and because it's difficult to do, that's why it comes with so much authority. So if you want to impress your audience, then it makes sense to be able to add that to your title.
So let's say that you've picked out of that the Amazon bestseller. You're like, okay, right, that the Wall Street Journal sounds great, but I'm not going for that. And you're after one category in Amazon. What kind of numbers do you need to be selling in that hour on that day? Or I know it'll vary depending on the category, but can you give us a range at all?
Right. It has to be consistent for a little while. And these things have changed a little bit in the past. So in the past, it was you were able to even have one sale in an hour. And if you were in some obscure category where no books were selling, you had one sale in that hour, you would get the badge, #1 Amazon bestseller. But now Amazon figured that out. They saw people were gaming the system that way. So right now you need to have consistent sales day after day or hour after hour. And they do look at some averages, but with like 60 sales a day, you're able to get there.
Okay.
And it's 60 is not 6,000, but still, it's still healthy numbers. So 60 today, 60 tomorrow, 60 the next day. If you hit for that, you choose the right categories, you should be able to get that Amazon status without much difficulty.
And do you have to watch the Amazon pages like a hawk and keep taking screenshots to get it? Or is there a badge, or how's that work?
Yeah, exactly. As you said, you need to keep taking screenshots because Amazon's not going to send you any congratulation letter. You need to take screenshots. You're going to get the badge. It's going to say #1 Amazon bestseller or #1 bestseller. And once you screenshot it, then there you have it. That's your evidence.
You're good. All right, cool. So you're after 60 a day. Are there tricks and techniques people use to get that? Can you drop the price for a period when it's just new? And I don't know. Obviously, you want to do some marketing and promotion to your email list and all that kind of thing. But what should people be doing?
Right. Great question. So what you want to do is stack the promotions, meaning you don't want to do everything one day. Okay. There's an Amazon algorithm that figures out which books are popular. And the way it works, nobody knows how it works. Okay. The way I think it works is that it looks at increments. Like if you sell 10 books today and 15 books tomorrow and 20 books the next day, it starts saying, more and more people are buying this book. So I'm going to show it in more categories. I'm going to show it linked to something else. And that's how you want to create your promotional campaign. Mm-hmm. So think about, let's say, 7 days. And, do the smallest push the first day. So let's get 10 books today. Let's get 15 the next day, 20. And up to, the largest push towards the end. Mm-hmm. Think also about the tail end. Like if you're going to do this via email marketing and you mail big on day 5, some people open that on day 7 and buy on day 7. Mm-hmm. So take that into consideration as well. If you orchestrate something like that, you can drop the price to 99 cents. There are promotional sites that exist. You can find them online. It's book promo sites, and schedule those promotions with them. Mm-hmm. On top of what you're going to do with your email list, or maybe you have partners that can mail for you. Then if you orchestrate that within a 7-10 day window and you choose the categories well, then you should be able to achieve that.
So someone's got all of that set up, they're doing their promotion, they're running stuff on day 1, day 2, day 3, building up. Do you see it work well with people doing competitions? If you buy 10 copies, then I'm going to give you this, you could get this bonus, whatever. Because I remember seeing Tim Ferriss when he did some launch and he had all kinds of things like that going out. Is that something you guys find works?
Yes. The strategy I shared, that's an ebook strategy where you can discount your book to 99 cents and you can do what I said. Now, what the strategy that you mentioned is a paperback strategy because you can't buy 10 ebooks.
Yes, good
So there's that. And it doesn't really work because Amazon considers bulk purchases as one purchase. So you could say, you know what, I want to get on the USA Today bestseller list. I'm just going to buy 6,000 copies of my book through Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not gonna do the trick. They've already figured out that people have tried to game the system like that. These have to be 6,000 separate purchases.
Right. That makes sense. Okay. That is super helpful. Great for kind of understanding when you should do this and how to do it. And then talk to me about outsourcing. I guess we've talked about that a little bit. You guys do that for people, right? So if someone's like, I've got the course already, I've got some money I want to spend, I'm willing to spend on this, they can come to you guys to talk to. Are there certain things that you need? Like, do people have to have certain, I don't know, credibility or existing audience size or anything like that for you to work with them?
What we need is for the author to have a book idea, like a specific book idea, and the willingness to dedicate 10 to 15 hours of their time to doing this and allow us to do the rest. So it's a pretty straightforward process. The way we start is by understanding where the book will be on the bookshelf. So when you come with an idea, you tell us what you want to do. We'll look at the categories and what's already out there. And then we're going to say, okay, so how does your book stand out? Because we really need to give the reader a reason to buy your book and not the ones next to yours on the bookshelf, whether it's a virtual bookshelf or traditional bookshelf. So that's what we start with. We start with the positioning. Once we have that, we create the outline. So the outline could be, you either have it already and we fine tune it or we create it from scratch, but we want an outline. We want to know what we're going to be writing about. Then we go to the interview phase. So there's an interviewer that will interview you. It's about 12 to 15 meetings. And we already know what it's going to be because we have the outline. You'll get a list of questions in advance before the interviews to digest in your mind. And then you come in, talk about that. And then that goes to that's all transcribed and it goes to the writer. And then we have several passes between the author and the writer. Then we have editing, formatting, create the book cover, and we launch. So the launch is a big deal. Depending on what your goals are, it's going to be an Amazon launch or a USA Today, Wall Street Journal launch, bookstores or no bookstores. It's depending on what you want. And then there you have it. You have an asset that can add 6, 7 figures to your revenue, depending on how you're already set up. Sort of the bigger you are already are, the more it will bring in. But you can also start from scratch, and that will be your first lead gen, which has been proven to be one of the best converting lead generators, a book, as opposed to anything else, because it has the instant gratification component to it and the authority that we mentioned before. And it's, also easily searchable on Amazon, where people look a lot.
Perfect. All right, cool. Well, thanks so much for coming on today and explaining all about that. I think it's certainly been very enlightening for me. I feel like I understand the process a lot better now, so that's cool. If you found this interview useful and you want to get future episodes, then please subscribe wherever you listened. And if you want to learn more about Alinka's offer, then go to leaderspress.com/discover. You can take a quiz to figure out the best kind of book to write. Anything else you want to point people to, Alinka?
Yeah, what you said, leaderspress.com/discover. It's a 1-minute quiz where you'll see which book is best for you. And we'll also get you an audiobook version of Outsource Your Book, because I think you like to listen, and you'll find out even more about this topic.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, John.